which goes like this. It says, you may not take interest in politics, but politics will take interest in you. So the same applies to AI many times over.
Ilia Sutskever, the man behind the invention of OpenAI, gave a pretty strong speech at the University of Toronto. He expressed great concerns about the upcoming AI, which might disrupt our entire world. Watch this.
A reminder for myself, constant struggle. But this aside, the reason it's not going to be the most conventional convocation speech is because there is something a little different going on. Right now, we all live in the most unusual time ever. And this is something that people might say often, but I think it's actually true this time. And the reason it's true this time is because of AI, right? Obviously. I mean, from what I hear, the AI of today has already changed what it means to be a student by a pretty considerable degree. That's what I sense, and I think it's true. But of course, the impact of AI goes beyond that. What happens to the kind of work we do? Well, it's starting to change a little bit in some unknown and unpredictable ways. And some work may feel it sooner, some work might feel it later. With today's AI, you can go on Twitter and you can look at what AI can do and what people say. And you might feel a little bit of that. You wonder, hey, which skills are useful, which ones will be less useful? So you got these questions going on. And so you can say that the current level of challenge is, how will it affect work and our careers? But the real challenge with AI is that it's really unprecedented and really extreme, and it's going to be very different in the future compared to the way it is today.
We've all seen AI. We've all spoken to a computer, and it's spoken back. That never used to happen. Now it does. You speak to a computer, it understands you, and it speaks back. It can write code. It's pretty crazy, but at the same time, it's still deficient. It can't do everything. So yes, it still needs to catch up. But it's already evocative, powerful enough to make you imagine what's coming. You can start asking yourself, what will AI be capable of in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Slowly, but maybe not so slowly, AI will keep getting better. And the day will come when AI will do everything we can do. Not just some things, all of them. Anything that I can learn, anything you can learn, AI could do as well. How do we know this? Because we all have a brain, and the brain is just a biological computer. So why wouldn't a digital computer be able to do the same? This is the one-sentence summary of why AI will be able to do all those things. Because we have a brain, and the brain is a biological computer. So, what happens when computers can do all of our jobs? That's a big question. A dramatic question. And if you start thinking about it, it gets intense. But that's only the start of the intensity. What will we, the collective we, want to use these AIs for? Do more work? Grow the economy? Speed up R&D? Accelerate AI research? If so, then the rate of progress becomes exponential, extremely fast for some time at least. These are extreme things, unimaginable things. I'm trying to pull you into this headspace, this radical future that AI creates. But it's very difficult to emotionally imagine. Even I struggle with it, and yet, logically, it feels almost inevitable. So, what do you do in such a world? Again, there's a quote. You may not take interest in politics, but politics will take interest in you. The same applies to AI, many times over. And simply by using AI, seeing what the best AI of today can do, you'll develop an intuition. And as AI improves over the next year or two, that intuition becomes stronger. What seems abstract today will become much more real. At the end of the day, no amount of essays or explanations can compete with what we see with our own eyes. And with future superintelligent AI, there will be profound issues, like ensuring these systems are authentic and not pretending to be something else. I'm condensing a lot into a short amount of time, but the key takeaway is, don't ignore what AI is capable of. That awareness, that energy, is what we need to solve the massive challenge AI will bring. And that challenge, in many ways, is the greatest in human history. Overcoming it will also bring the greatest reward. Whether you like it or not, your life will be affected by AI. So pay attention and generate the energy to solve the problems that will arise. Now, let's look at Eric Schmidt's perspective. To understand the full debate, watch this clip of former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, where he talks about the broader impact of AI on human life in the coming years.
We believe, as an industry, that in the next 1 year, the vast majority of programmers will be replaced by AI programmers. We also believe that within 1 year, you will have graduate-level mathematicians that are at the tippy top of graduate math programs. So that's 1 year, okay? What happens in 2 years? Well, I've just told you about reasoning, and I've told you about programming, and I've told you about math. Programming plus math are the basis of sort of our whole digital world. So the evidence and the claims from the research groups in OpenAI and Anthropic and so forth is that they're now somewhere around 10 or 20% of the code that they're developing in their research programs is being generated by the computer. That's called recursive self-improvement, is the technical term. So what happens when this thing starts to scale? Well, a lot. One way to say this is that within 3 to 5 years, we'll have what is called general intelligence, AGI, which can be defined as a system that is as smart as the smartest mathematician, physicist, artist, writer, thinker, politician. I call this, by the way, the San Francisco consensus, because everyone who believes this is in San Francisco. It may be the water. What happens when every single one of us has the equivalent of the smartest human on every problem in our pocket? But the reason I want to make the point here is that in the next year or two, this foundation is being locked in, and we're not going to stop it. It gets much more interesting after that. Because remember, the computers are now doing self-improvement. They're learning how to plan, and they don't have to listen to us anymore. We call that superintelligence, or ASI, artificial superintelligence. And this is the theory that there will be computers that are smarter than the sum of humans. The San Francisco consensus is this occurs within 6 years, just based on scaling. This path is not understood in our society. There's no language for what happens with the arrival of this. That's why it's underhyped. People do not understand what happens when you have intelligence at this level, which is largely free.
That sounds wild. How can a computer do math better than most people? Because, to some degree, math is a simpler language than human language. These models do word prediction. You give it a sentence with a word missing, and it learns to fill it in. That's called a loss function. It's optimized at a scale we can't even comprehend. Now apply that to math. Feed it a conjecture and ask it to prove it through a system like Lean. It works similarly for programming. Just keep writing code until it passes the test. That's why the question, what language do you program in, might become irrelevant. In this world, it's about the outcome, not the syntax. And that's just year 1. And in 2 years, as Eric said, we'll see reasoning, programming, and math all driven by AI. Research groups at OpenAI, Anthropic, and others are already seeing 10–20% of their code generated by AI in active research. That's called recursive self-improvement. And once this begins to scale, it leads us into a new era, one where we may achieve artificial general intelligence, AGI, within 3 to 5 years. AGI is a system that matches the intelligence of the smartest humans across multiple domains: math, physics, art, writing, politics. Imagine that, all in one computer. Let's take it a step further. Eric describes agentic systems, AIs that have memory, input, output, and learn over time. Want to buy a house in Virginia? One agent finds land. Another checks the building codes. Another does the transaction. Another designs the house. Another hires a contractor, and another sues the contractor if they mess up. That may sound silly, but Eric points out that this is essentially every business, government, and academic process. So it's not just programmers losing jobs, it's everyone. And remember, these computers are now improving themselves. They're learning to plan, and they don't have to wait for human input. That's artificial superintelligence, ASI. The San Francisco consensus says ASI could emerge in as little as 6 years. To support this, we'll need massive computing power, gigawatts of energy, even nuclear power. Eric testified before Congress on this very issue. And the truth is, our society isn't prepared. Our laws, our language, our understanding, it's lagging behind. But here's his warning. This is happening faster than we can regulate, and it's underhyped. Most people don't grasp what it means to have freely accessible intelligence at this scale. So how do we prepare? We start by talking about it. Now, about jobs. Everyone assumes AI will eliminate them. But if you look at history, from the industrial looms 300 years ago, jobs didn't disappear, they changed. More jobs were created than destroyed. Unless, this time is different. Look at Asia. Birth rates are dropping. Populations are shrinking. Automation is rising rapidly. And these AI tools, they'll supercharge productivity for the few humans left working in 30-40 years. Now here's another clip of Eric where he dives deeper into AI's capabilities.
I'm actually quite convinced that this is the beginning of a new epoch. Henry, who was my best friend and we miss very dearly, compared it to the Enlightenment. That during the Enlightenment, we as humans learned from going from direct faith in God to using our reasoning skills. So now we have the arrival of a new non-human intelligence, which is likely to have better reasoning skills than humans can have, generally known as AGI and essentially superintelligence. This is going to happen really, really fast. And I think people are not prepared for it. So when I talk to governments, what I tell them is, one, this is not, ChatGPT is great, but that was 2 years ago, everything's changed again. Second, you're not prepared for it. And two, you better get organized around it, the good and the bad.
Think of AI today as language to language. You ask a question, it replies. But now it's multimodal. You can show it a picture, and it tells you what's inside. That's possible through APIs from OpenAI, Gemini, Anthropic, and others. 3 big innovations are happening right now. Number 1, infinite context windows, where you can keep feeding answers back in, enabling long-term planning and step-by-step decision-making. Number 2, agents, memory-based systems that take actions based on what they observe. Each tech company is building its own agents, and they don't want them to talk to each other. That's a control issue. Number 3, text-to-code, where you just describe a program and AI writes it for you. Imagine a system that reads all scientific literature, finds policy experts, scores them, contacts them, and even follows up with voice calls. Eric jokes about this, but the capability is real. Automation at that level isn't science fiction anymore. The race is on. The big players, OpenAI plus Microsoft, Google's Gemini, Amazon's partnership with Anthropic, and Meta's open source approach. All of them are competing for the best reasoning, the best code, the best multimodal AI. These innovations will be distilled into smaller, more specialized models, and that's where the action will be in the next 1 or 2 years. So, where are we with AGI? It's been discussed for over 15 years. AGI is the point where an AI has the flexibility and intelligence of a human. We're not there yet, but if the systems improve every 18 months, a crank, then in 2 to 3 cranks, we might get there. And AGI means this: intelligence greater than the sum of all human intelligence. Eric believes that's likely, but probably not in just 3 years. We simply don't know the exact timeline. Thanks for watching.